Dobre Dean, everybody. Good afternoon. It is Aaron here from Countryside Acres with Coralyn. Thought we'd ask her some questions. Gonna say hi?
Hi.
How about in Russian?
Привет.
Привет.
Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте. Yeah? Good. Okay. Tell us who you are.
I am Coralyn in English, or Cora, and Coralina in Russian. I am 15 years old, and I came from Canada with my family. I am the second oldest here.
How many kids? Most of them probably know that, but just in case.
There's 9, 8 here, so I'm the oldest of 8. There's
Oldest of
7 younger siblings, I guess.
That's not on my list, but is that fun being part of a big family?
Yes.
Probably different if you're on the top or on the bottom, I imagine.
Yeah, it would be. The bottom you get bossed around probably a bit more.
By the older one.
The top you get to kind of watch over everybody.
Yeah, you're more in charge.
Yeah.
Typically, yep. Very good. Maybe we'll put Madeline in charge sometime when we go away, and you also listen to her.
She is in charge sometimes.
That's true. That's very true. Good points, man. Smart kid. Okay, did you say how old you were?
Yeah, I'm 15.
You're 15 years old. All right, when did you first hear about Russia?
I do not remember the first time I heard about it, but probably about 2 years ago.
Yeah? It makes sense, eh?
Yeah, maybe 2.5. It's been a while ago anyway.
Okay. Did you know anything about it? Like, how did you hear about it? What? I don't even have my coffee. 1 second. Terrible. Okay.
Like, what do you mean?
I don't know. What did you hear about it? What was it about Russia? When did you hear it? What did you hear? How did the subject of Russia come up?
Probably, I think it was you and Mom were discussing it, and you brought it up probably at one of our family discussions. And it was around the time when COVID is a big thing, and everybody was all worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the borders shut, and we weren't allowed to go out of the country, and so we were a little worried about that.
Yeah, fair enough. What were your thoughts about it?
About Russia itself, I guess I didn't really have any thoughts about moving Russia. I had more thoughts about that than Russia itself. Russia and Canada, I didn't really think anything different about it other than Russia's another country and Canada's its own country.
Yeah, fair enough. But I forget exactly what you said there. You didn't have a lot of thoughts about the country, but what about the moving then? Like, you didn't have a lot of thoughts about the country because you didn't know where it was, or you didn't know much about it, or what do you mean?
I guess I just didn't really think much about anything.
You had never thought about it, maybe?
No.
Okay.
Fair enough. About Russia, I guess it was more thinking about leaving Canada and the only home that I knew than moving to a new country. I just never really bothered about a new country.
Okay. You weren't worried about it.
No.
Did you have any like previous thoughts about what Russia would be like, or did you have any, even from storybooks? I know some of the literature we've written was written by people, or some of the books that we've read was written by people who left Russia back in the day. So did you have any preconceived notions or ideas about what Russia would be like, or nothing really at all?
No, I never really thought about it, I guess. It's not something I thought about, but
fair enough.
Yeah, I guess when we first were starting to get to know things, like Mom would say things about the culture and about just a new idea, you'd start to think about a few things. Like she said, people here like to dress up before they go out, and it's just I remember these little new things that we were learning. Don't really know anything more about that.
No, that's fine. What about moving then? Obviously, when we first started talking about it, we you can mention that too. How did we have family discussions? I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, like what do you mean?
Well, was it your choice or not your choice? Like, a lot of families aren't open, right? We have a lot of discussions about everything, so we always ask your opinion and stuff, especially as an older child. Obviously, we're not asking Madeline so much, but we ask you a lot. Ben, Wes, Ariana, Waylon, your thoughts on the matter, whether you like something or dislike something or want to do something different, or even moving from Saskatchewan to Manitoulin. We've talked about that, right? So
Yeah, about moving, I guess I would have missed the place a lot. Like, I didn't really want to move because I was worried for one. I do like my friends, and although we didn't live in it, we were close. Well, I had made 2 more friends on the island, and we were pretty close there. And so the biggest is that we would be moving away from them. And then the rest of my friends, I just wrote them. And I guess I was worried that we wouldn't be able to write letters when I'm here in Russia, which we can't, but now we can call them. But I didn't know that then at the time, so yeah, I do remember talking to you about that I was worried that moving halfway across the world, my friends would all forget about me, but then you told me that if they forgot about me, then they obviously weren't true friends, so, which is true. But they haven't forgot about me.
Right, you can still communicate.
Yeah.
Which I've said to multiple people, we live in an age now where you can actually communicate very easily. Like people who would have left, you gotta look at it here once in a while too. People who would have left home 100 years ago or 200 years ago wouldn't have had the option of writing back. I mean, to send a letter back to Europe probably would have took 6 months if it would have made it. And then to get a reply would have took another 6 months if it would have made it, or if they could even figure out where you lived in the new world. Whereas now we can just send a message, right? You called our old neighbor the other day, right? That would not have been possible before, right? You called her up and you're like, hey, how's it going? Things like that. Or you can send letters through email. Somebody can print them off and throw in a mailbox there, or you can just email, whatever. But those options are available that they weren't before. So you're not finding an issue now, you can communicate. We're way off bad. I have a list of questions we're not even focusing on them.
Yeah, there's mixed feelings. I didn't want to leave because we had such a nice place, and I really liked our neighbors. They were probably one of the best neighbors we've ever had, and the farm, and I worked at the stand. I enjoyed doing that. And
explain that. Maybe anybody doesn't know. What do you mean you worked at the stand?
We had a farm stand going at the end of the lane. We grew garden and sold produce and stuff, and some other merchandise also that we made and had. And working there every day in the summer, I got to know our neighbors around us and people from the island, and you make new relationships and friends and stuff. But I missed that, and I was worried I would miss it too.
Miss the stand.
Yeah.
Yep, miss the people. You really enjoyed that. So she was 14 years old running that stand for us. That summer, that would have been last summer? 2 summers ago.
Both.
Yeah, a little bit last summer because we left in June, right?
But I worked there for 2 summers.
Yeah, so you would have been like 13/14 running the stand. And then Wes would have been 12/13, something like that. Both of you had a busy summer. He was baling hay most of the summer and mowing hay all over the countryside, and you were running the farm stand, so it's pretty cool. Proud of you for that. All right, we got to get back to this. Your poor mother has to edit all this. So your thoughts about it, about the country, you didn't really have a whole lot of thoughts because you didn't know much about it, right? Am I wrong? Yeah. And moving, you were kind of worried about it because you're going to miss your friends. That sums it up?
Yeah, there was mixed. I had good feelings about it too. I got excited. I'm an adventurous person. I like to look for adventure. So if I wasn't worried about leaving our friends and the farm and everything, then I full-heartedly wanted to do it just to see what else would be adventurous and see what the other part of the world is like. And I remember one time, Soldier 3, Wes and Irina and I, we went to the other part of the property, and we were over there, and we were just laying on our backs looking at the sky, and an airplane flew over there, and it's like, just think, like, we might be able to go on an airplane and fly halfway across the world.
Well, that's another new thing. You'd never been on an airplane before. Yeah, that's right. That was your very first airplane, all of you guys. Yeah. So I have flown as a child. First time I would have been 4 years old, I don't remember it, and then it just kind of, every so many years we would fly, so it's relatively new to me, but that was literally your first time on an airplane. Yeah.
To a country that nobody ever would think that we would go to.
Yeah. We're here. Did you have a choice in the move?
Yes.
No, you're coming. Gotcha.
No, yes. We weren't forced here, and yes, that I did have a choice. We had lots of family discussions about it. You guys brought it up, and you explained why you thought it would be a good idea, and then we discussed it lots of times, and every time one of us children would have like a question or a problem that we did think it was a good idea, we would bring it to you, and you would explain why it would be a good idea, what you've seen, and what you think is good.
Okay, so but for somebody watching at home, that might sound ridiculous because you're 15 now. You would have been 13/14 when we first started talking about it. I guess 14 when we sold the farm. Correct? I think. So it might sound ridiculous to somebody to think that you would have had a choice to stay behind. Like a lot of, I've seen some comments, people saying that you would, obviously we forced you to come because you're part of the family. So what does that mean? Would you have a choice? Like, would we have left you there by yourself, you think? Or what?
Well, one thing you said is that what would be the point of moving all the way across the world with all these little kids if we didn't support you? Because then when we're older, we would all just move back.
Right.
So what would be the point of doing that? And you said you would do it, like, for us children, because of the prices of the land in Canada were getting pretty high, and prices here are cheaper, and a lot of us want to farm, so that's something that could be more easily done here.
So we discussed it all, but I mean specifically as far as you having a choice, like, could you have stayed behind? Would we have left you behind? I guess. Like, people might say, well, you moved with your family, and obviously the kids have to come with, which is normal. Children obey your parents, right? But would we have left you behind and gone without you?
No, but if we had all said no, that we didn't want to, then there would be no point moving, because we'd all probably move back when we get older, so we might as well just stay.
Right. Okay. No, I agree. I want your opinion. I want them to see. So you're saying that had everybody not agreed, obviously, again, not the little ones, but had the older ones not agreed, we would not have moved.
Yeah, there would have been no point in moving, because if we hadn't agreed, we wouldn't have had our heart in it. We would have moved over here. We wouldn't have liked it, and probably as soon as we could, we would have moved back.
Right. Now, can someone at your age make an educated decision? Are you even capable of making a decision like that?
Like, what do you mean?
Well, you're just a little kid. Some people might suggest. I don't know. I know you. They don't know you. But are you capable of making an educated decision, a decision on your own like that? Like, that's a big decision. If you didn't know what Russia was like in the first place, and then we asked you, do you want to move to Russia? I mean, if you don't know what you're getting into, then like there's issues in this country some people would suggest that you might not have known anything about, and by us asking you your opinion about moving, you wouldn't have known necessarily all the issues. So are you capable at your age of making a decision like that?
Probably. I mean, like, it wasn't like an overnight decision. We didn't just, like, wake up one morning and by evening we had decided we're moving. Like, we talked about it, and like I said, we all said, well, I don't think it'll work. Like, what about this? Or what about this? And you would say, or we would research it, or we look it up. And so over the time, I guess you learn more information, and then after all that, I guess, I think so.
It's hard to remember even all of it. I know for ourselves, we didn't know, like Mama and I didn't know everything that was here, obviously. It starts with an idea, anything does, and then it kind of grows from there, right? So, like, for my own opinion, I think we learned together as we went. We're very open in our family. We discuss everything. So not every family's run that way, obviously, but their opinion matters to us because it's their future that we're working for. So, but I'm trying to think back in my own self how it all, like you said, it's been a couple of years since we've been working at this. It's not something that happened overnight. And then a lot of planning, studying, talking, meetings, other people, obviously meetings, and then sharing that at home with information. Yep. All right. What do you think about the move? A lot of these questions are very similar. But what do you think?
I think, or what did I think?
No, well, I think you kind of covered what you did think, but what do you think now? Well, unless you want to say some more about what you did think, but I think you covered that. What do you think now? Now that you're here, right? So you mentioned one concern you had was friends, that you were going to miss your friends. Then you kind of covered that now that you can still talk to them. Like, how often do you talk to your friends now?
I was worried that I wouldn't ever be able to talk to them because a lot of them are like, they don't do email or...
Right, you have some Amish friends that don't have internet. Again, you guys don't know that, but she has some Amish friends that don't have internet. We're not Amish, but she has some Amish friends. And they don't have internet. And so it makes it really hard to communicate then.
Yeah, and I like to write letters. I like to use my hand and actually physically write the letters and mail them, and it's a long way. Not a keyboard? It's a long way from Canada and the United States to send a letter, and it would probably take a long time, especially because of the sanctions and stuff, and I was worried that I wouldn't ever be able to contact them again, and And now that we got over here, we've got a phone plan that I can easily call them and talk to them, and I can call whoever I want.
Right.
They all have phone
And you do.
numbers. So.
You've talked to friends in the States and in Canada, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not completely whenever you want, but like you don't have your own phone, but
Well, no, but like,
pretty well it's possible to call whenever you want. Yep.
whenever.
Other than that, is that really the only concern you have with moving here? Is your friends?
Maybe.
It's the only one I can think of. But.
Yeah, I would have missed like relatives and stuff, and I guess that it's always in the back of your head that you might never get to see anybody again. But
Fair enough.
we've moved so many times, and we've never lived close to anybody that we'd never lived close to our relatives or even the church or anything. We're not attached to anything, so I've moved so many times, I'm kind of used to it. The last place I liked so much, and I loved our neighbors and stuff so much, that one was a lot harder on me. Because I almost was worried that our neighbors would feel that we didn't like them and that we were moving away. But
Yep.
now that we can contact and talk to them, I talked to the one neighbor the other day, and I don't think they feel that way, so it makes me feel better.
Yep, you had a good chat with them. I think they were surprised to hear from you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. If you're watching, hi. You want to wave at them? You don't have to. Right, so yeah, main concern for you there. I think for the boys, at least the older ones, main concern was farmland. I don't think they cared. Well, we'll ask. I'm going to put Wes on here sometime too, but I don't think he really cared where he lives. As long as there's dirt, he wants some land to farm, something we can afford.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned about moving a lot of times. Again, nothing to do with Russia specifically, but does that ever bother you?
No, not necessarily. The
Like
only,
in all the moves, I know some of the comments. There you go. Now I'm about the same height as you. I slouched you. I know some of the comments people suggest is that we're unstable, we move a lot, and that's really hard on children like you as far as your social life and things like that. Do you care to comment on that?
No, well, the only move that probably was the hardest on me was the one from Manitoulin. Maybe it's just because I was older, I don't know, or I felt
So
like,
again, people that don't know that's the last move.
yes.
What about from Saskatchewan? Because I know at the time you were concerned about leaving Saskatchewan. You had some good friends there too.
Yeah, I don't really remember like missing them a whole lot or any friends. I do know that like they were missing or they were really worried about me leaving and that they were kind of upset about it, but I don't really remember being that upset about it. We could still write letters and it didn't bother me. We still lived in Canada, so I could always visit them if I wanted to, so it didn't really bother me that much. I mean, I don't know, what else did you say?
I don't think that's about it. It's hard to stay on focus sometimes.
Yeah, so not moving doesn't bother me that much, I guess.
Doesn't bother you. So, and some people we know are stuck to church. Are we an ungodly people for not being stuck to church?
No.
There are churches that you would have liked to stick around with, I think.
Yeah, probably.
No, you don't have to say which churches or nothing, but there have been places where you really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
And
like
so
fellowship.
I think that would have been hard on you a little bit.
Yeah, I always wanted a church and something like that. I like the fellowship and part of it. But now that I think of it, I thought maybe like maybe God didn't put the right church in our path because he knew we needed to move. And then I'd be stuck to that church.
Interesting.
And it would be harder. Because lots of people that they can't move because they're stuck to their job or their church or their friends or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And with us moving a lot, I guess that you're not stuck to anything. You can move and get up and go, and even in the Bible time it talks about people that God calls them to do a certain job, and we can't be called to do a certain job if we're not ready to just leave our friends and leave our church or leave our everything.
Right. Yeah, that one parable talks about the guy that looks back isn't fit for the plow. Right, we need to keep moving ahead.
Yeah. So I think maybe God just didn't put the right church in the right spot, and I just have to learn to be able to cope with it.
Are you coping?
Yep.
Or do you need help?
No, I'm coping.
What about friends? I think we covered a lot of this. What about your friends back home? Do you miss them?
Yep, I miss them. I have a bunch of really good friends, and I long to fly back and give them a big hug, but
In some ways, now they were close then, and they still are now. But in some ways, I think being divided almost, at least with two of them I can think of right now, brought you closer. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because now you're apart, you miss each other more.
The other thing too is if you're right close to each other, it's easy to be friends because you can do anything. But if you're far apart, then you either forget about each other or you're drawn closer to each other, so you see who's really your friend.
Takes more effort.
Yeah, and you see who's actually your friend, who's willing to actually be your friend and make the effort to make your friendship work.
Interesting thought too. You're a smart kid. Right, so you do miss them, but like we covered earlier, we have technology now, like you can FaceTime them. Have you FaceTime? Or more just message?
Yeah, 2 of them I can. But
so you can still see each other.
Most of them I can, but there's a few that I can.
Alright, and you talk, I don't even know how often do you?
Well, it depends on who it is. Some, again, don't have the technology, so I haven't talked to them in a while. Some who do, I can talk to a bit more.
Right.
And
yeah, that's right. I guess some of the ones that don't have, they wouldn't have internet, so.
Yeah.
And then it's reduced to letter, which is what it was anyway. So the one I'm thinking of in the States, you only ever, oh no, you guys have phone calls. You talk on the phone with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they still have that option.
Yeah. So I still dream about, like, when I'm a little bit older, I could fly back and go around and make the rounds and
visit them all. There you go.
Yeah. But that's just a dream, the girl dream that, that never happens.
Right. I think the cover, well, it's one further, but have you made new friends now?
Yep. There's a bunch of people here, like neighbors. We kind of live in like, what's it called? Almost like a village, but it's like everybody lives around the same area. And there's a bunch of girls that are right next door. So we hang out and we go for tea or have like snack together.
Do they speak English?
The one speaks a little bit, and the other one, no.
But you're learning Russian.
Yes.
So I think this is the beautiful part. I've noticed this with you all through your life. No matter where you go, you just make new friends.
Yeah.
It's probably that smile, because it gets me every time. But you make new friends all the time. So even though, you said you didn't really remember Saskatchewan, I do remember you being kind of upset in Saskatchewan, leaving. But then we moved to Ontario and you made new friends again. And it didn't take long. And then when we first got to the island, you're like, because we lived in the other area for a while, you had a friend, and then we moved to the island. And then we were just in the other area looking for a farm. Then we found a farm on the island. We moved there, and you're like, there's nobody here. But then it didn't take long, and there was 3 girls down the road, and you were good friends with. And so now you're missing those ones, but now we're here, and you got a bunch of new friends again. And this is you've probably spent more time with friends here than anywhere else. Just my thinking, you might have a different opinion, but you're out a lot, you and Wes, with a lot of the young people around here. Not speaking English, Russian, but you speak some. But
yeah,
do you care to speak any right now?
No, I don't really know nothing to talk about.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Don't embarrass you. Can you communicate with them? So that was with your old friends, which we covered already. You do. What about your new friends? Translate app, and you're learning.
I don't use much of the Translate app. The one girl that speaks a bit of English, she has a phone, but she doesn't often let me use it to translate. She's trying to learn English, so she wants me to speak to her.
Right.
She only understands the bare minimum, so between my bare minimum of Russian and her bare minimum of English, you can kind of make a conversation work.
Right. That seems to be working out.
If you say no to the translator, you can pick it up pretty fast. If you use the translator, I find your brain goes lazy and you don't pick it up as fast.
Interesting. Now that's, again, not on this thing, man. You're giving me all sorts of good stuff. So I mentioned a little while ago that we don't do computer games. We focus more on board games and like card games and things like that we can do as a family, and less on computer technology. So I don't even remember, as a kid, did you ever play much for video games? Ben did, I know that, but
not that I remember.
Not that you remember. I think you probably would have. We got rid of it when you were little still. But you know other people that do?
Yeah.
And I don't know, do you have thoughts on that? You just mentioned about the Translate app. It kind of makes your brain go lazy. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so these girls have like their own phone, but they're a bit older than me, and I don't find that they like use it for games or anything. But there is people though that I do find that they spend a lot of time on the phone and they use it for video games or whatever, and instead of communicating with the outside world, they're using their phones and stuff, and I don't like to hang out with them as much because they're not like me. They have different interests and a very short attention span.
Interesting, yeah. That's what they say, the average person's attention span is 6 seconds now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because we're constantly fed new information.
I also find that people that have that is, it's almost like their age category drops several years.
Okay, maturity-wise?
Yes. I like to hang out with girls that are older than me, not my age, and and the most reason is because girls my age tend to be less mature than me.
Right, I would agree with that. But, yeah, okay. Would you like to move back, or are you happy here?
No, I'm
That's
happy
a loaded
here.
question, isn't it? Man, that's not nice of me.
No, I was loaded. There was a bit of doubt and stuff when we first came here. Of course, I was excited, but like you'd fly out. My first flight got on, and it's exciting. And we flew to Georgia, and you're still excited, but of course.
Don't forget Frankfurt, Germany.
Yeah.
With the little mice running around the airport.
Yes. I forgot about that. But yeah, you fly, and it was my first flight. I was pretty excited. Of course, yeah, you're flying away from home. You don't know when you're going to come back again, or old home. And but at the time, you don't really think about it. It's just too excited to think about it. And then, I guess I didn't really have any, like, oh no, what's it going to be like? I just was, like, excited to get there. I just knew it was all going to be what I dreamt it was going to be. And Georgia was not my dream. I didn't want to stay there. He wanted to.
I was very
didn't.
tempted, yes.
I didn't want to stay there.
It's not what we started out for, but it was just so simple. Georgia's such an easy, there's like a lot less paperwork, a lot less hassle. It was warm, yeah.
Yeah, but over the whole time that we've been talking about moving to Russia, I got this dream in my head of what it's going to be like. And when we got to Georgia, Georgia was not like that. And I still dreamt that Russia was going to be better. And when we got off the plane here and the cold met us, it was so cold here, and I was like, yeah, this is like home.
You actually enjoyed the cold?
Yeah, I seen the snow, and I was so excited that, again, we're like
Actually, I remember that when we were driving.
back in the winter.
Yeah, you were commenting that out the window. You were excited to see it.
Yeah. And so, being here, I haven't been disappointed yet. Everybody has been so kind. It's just been a good experience.
So what about the future? Do you see yourself, like you mentioned, maybe on a holiday or something, but do you see yourself going back? Or at this point, it's kind of hard. How long have we been here? 7 weeks?
Yeah.
I think so. So it's kind of hard to say, I guess. But I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, would you, at this point, you want to stay here, or you miss it and you want to go home?
At this point, I want to stay here. I want to farm. And
You want to own a farm too?
oh yeah, me, or if I get married and have a husband, then we can own the farm and
You better be a farmer.
raise a farm together, and I don't know, work with my family, with you.
Kind of like Mama and I do.
Yeah.
I want that for you too.
Yeah, I don't picture myself going back. Only for a visit, maybe.
Ultimately, it's not much different than back home, though, right?
No.
Other than every time somebody opens their mouth, it's not English.
Yeah, we're working on that.
But other than that, it's basically not much different.
Yeah, the only reason that would probably draw me back to Canada would just be because that's the only home we've ever known. I've never been out of Canada. So there's only, like, all our relatives are over there, all our friends are over there, and everything. But once you get over here, like, we're all going to grow up, and hopefully us children are going to get married, so then you're going to have family over here too, so it's not going to be much different. So
That's right.
the only, if I would go back, it would probably just be for a visit.
Then you come back here.
Yeah.
Well, if you all move, if one of you moved, that'd be different. But if you all move back, then obviously I'd go back too. So.
Yeah.
How do you find the language?
Well, it's kind of difficult. I started studying in Georgia because we got the plane tickets, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to speak anything. So I started working in the book that I had and studying and trying to get a little bit. It's like I just want to have like a main conversation with the people when we get here. and I did fairly well, but I couldn't have a main conversation when we got here. I realized
You
how
tried.
much, yeah, but I realized how much I didn't know when we got here. And then, and then when we got here, like now I'm doing online lessons with the lady, and I'm learning quite a bit, but there's just so many variations of words, but that mean the same thing, and that's difficult.
Past tense, present tense, female, masculine.
Yeah. So I'm good at learning.
Why would anybody do that? I finally figured out the word, I got it. And then it's like, oh no, that's only if you use it in this sentence. And then there's like 10 other ones.
Yeah. So I like to learn. I'm good at learning, I think. I like to think so. But it's still a little bit difficult to remember all that stuff.
Yep. Think you'll ever figure it out?
Yeah, I'm learning.
You'll be an old babushka and still have no idea.
No.
No?
My friends are pretty surprised at how much I guess I know, so.
It's coming.
Although
Hey, I say dobre utra on here and everybody's like, good job! So
you also say dobre nachi.
Yeah, I like nachos. A lot of people pointed that one out. What is it again? Dobre?
Spokojny nachi.
Oh, spokojny
Dobre
nachi.
wieczór.
Yeah. I'll just keep you around. How much have you learned? Again, I'm going to ask you to practice. No? Well, you just taught me a little bit there.
Yeah.
Can you say, hello, my name is Corlin?
Привет, меня зовут Corlina.
Okay, so then I can say как дела?
У меня всё хорошо.
That's all I know how to
You
say.
can ask a question in Russian, I can try to answer it.
Well, I don't know any Russian questions.
No, I
Oh,
mean
you
in
mean ask in English?
Yeah.
Okay. How old are you?
Мне 15 лет.
Assuming that means 15?
Yeah.
Okay, I have no idea.
Don't tell me if I make
What
a
else should I
mistake.
ask? Well, that's good. She can see she's learning.
Yeah, Mom would like to do a video about.
You learning?
Yeah.
There you go. What
So
are
stay
your
tuned.
plans long term? What are you planning to do when you're older? You already covered that a little bit. You want to farm, you said.
Yes, I want to be a mom. Lots of people have asked me about going to college or university and stuff, and so far I don't have any plans. I'm not interested, I guess. I used to think it would be cool to be a doctor or a nurse, but that takes a lot of work. And I also thought it would be nice to be a school teacher, but I don't think you have to go to university necessarily to be a school teacher.
That depends on who you ask, but yeah.
Yeah, and but probably the main thing I want to do is get married and have a family, a big family, be a mom, a house mom, on a farm. Basically, what you and Mom do.
Yeah, your mom, she was laughed at once. She was the guidance counselor, I think. You have to ask Mom, but the guidance counselor asked her what she wanted to be when she was older, and she said she wanted to be a housewife or be a mom. I don't think she said housewife, be a mom. And obviously that's not a career choice. People laughed at her for that, but lo and behold, she's doing that. By God's grace, she'll continue to be able to do that. So.
Yeah, so probably the biggest dream is just
How much
to
more
get married.
rewarding could life be? This is my opinion again, but you're looking after the next generation, feeding them, teaching them, raising them. Pretty important.
I like to look after children, so the thought of having my own children is it's like a dream.
Yep.
When if it ever comes true, it'll be a dream come true.
You ever think of how many kids you want to have? 20, 30, 40?
I don't know, as many as God gives me, but I'm okay with
20, 30, 40? You didn't even blink at that one.
no, as many as God gives me, but I'm okay with 10, 15. I guess it depends when I get there.
Yep. Start with one.
Yeah.
One at a time. And like Mom and I always say, as long as there's enough love in your heart and enough food on the table and room in the house, that's all that really matters.
Yep.
Are you neglected because you're the oldest of, you're not the oldest, but second oldest of 9 kids? Think there's still enough food for you?
Yeah.
You haven't missed any meals yet?
No, even though there's brothers that like to eat.
We had good advice once upon a time, another large family we knew. She said, well, it's just another potato in the pot. And I never forgot that. That's basically it is. I mean, you have another child, so it doesn't cost that much more. The people that think it costs a lot to have a big family, it doesn't have to cost a lot. It depends on your lifestyle and how you live.
And what you want to eat.
what you want to eat. Yeah, if you want to go to restaurants every night, then obviously that's going to cost money. Yeah, if every kid needs to go to ballet or hockey practice or whatever, that obviously costs money. But I don't know about here. I don't know if they pay for that here. Back home, it's expensive anyway. University's free here too, from what I understand.
Yeah.
I don't know. Good. Anything else you want to add?
I don't know.
That's all. I ran out of questions.
Well, if you have any more, I don't know what to say.
Well done. There you go. You heard it from Coraline herself. I'm going to interview Wesley probably today too. I don't know when these will go up, but they'll go up on the internet sometime. So if you have more questions for her, drop them down below. Would you consent to coming on again sometime?
Yes.
Wasn't too bad. I couldn't
No.
like grill you.
No, and I'm not stuck in Russia. I'm enjoying it. I like Russia.
Oh no, the media says you're stuck.
No, this is probably a very good place. It's probably one of the best places.
So far. Well, we haven't found a farm yet, but
No.
I'd prefer to have some of my own dirt and not live in the city all the time.
Yeah, minus the city. This is a very good country to live.
Unless you like city. Then it would be good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like cities. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Drop your comments down below. Tell her how well she did. And obviously subscribe if you haven't done so. Share with other people. Get the word out. And look at our other channel. This is the Countryside Corner. The other channel is Countryside Acres. If you haven't been over there, go take a look at that as well and give it a thumbs up and a subscribe as well. Or thumb it down. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do. Drop your comments down below. Always looking for more questions from you. If there's stuff you want to know, drop it down. We try to keep track at least some of the questions, or other people we know, write them down. And then we try to address them right here. So if they're specifically for her, great, and we'll get her to answer them. If they're for Anissa or I, or for one of the other children, same thing, drop them down below. We try to answer all of them. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll catch you all in the next one. God bless you. What do you say now? Paka?
Пока.
Paka, paka.
До свидания.
До свидания.
Увидимся.